Well, we're heading over to meet with the dog.
The dog? What's the dog?
The dog, that's the Division Operating Group.
Oh, that. I was going to say, where did Angel go?
It's like the dog. They call themselves the dog.
Oh.
The Division Operating Group, and they do model railroad operations.
Oh.
And model railroad operations, we've talked about it on the show. We've never actually been to a full-fledged, honest-to-goodness operating session until today, and we're going to the monthly meeting of DOG to attend the operating session and watch them actually operate and have some fun on an N-scale railroad. Should be a lot of fun. Check this out. According to the great Buckaroo Banzai, no matter where you go, there you are. But what he left out is when you get there, you'll find a model railroad operating group. This is Bruce. He was one of the guys that put on that fun NMRA Southwest Regional Convention in Phoenix, Arizona. Of course, there's a bunch of fun shows here on the channel about that, including The Fool's Speech. He's in Salt Lake City right now, and while he's there, he's visiting with the dog. That's the operating group in the northern Utah area. This month, the operating group is operating on Bob Gerald's N-scale railroad. It's a model of the Milwaukee Railroad. The layout's track plan was specifically designed just to facilitate operations. That's not to say that it isn't a fun railroad with a lot of scenery and so on, but principally it was designed to facilitate operations. So what exactly is operation? Well, it's sort of like a big strategy game. Turns the whole layout into a huge game board, and then you play this game, and there are very specific rules that need to be followed. Okay, rule number 1, everybody's assigned a job, and the job is defined and has very specific goals. Rule number 2, every car is represented by one of these little cards called a waybill, and every waybill has a destination on it where the car is supposed to be delivered, and all of those destinations are clearly marked around the layout so you know where you're supposed to deliver the car to. Once the car is delivered, the card is left here in these little slots around the layout, each slot representing an individual track. The cards have 2 or 4 destinations on them, and at the end of the session, all of the cards are flipped over, revealing the new destination, and the whole thing can start over again. So your job might entail picking up all of the cars in a particular area, building them up into a train, and then delivering them to all of the various tracks as specified on the waybill. The trick is you have to build your train up in such a way that you can actually get to the car when you arrive at the appropriate siding or railroad yard. Depending on if that siding is facing in the direction of your train or away from your train will determine if the car needs to be toward the front of your train or toward the back of your train in order to properly place it out on the siding. Once your train is built up, you head out onto the main line for some distance, arriving at your proper setouts, and then start setting out your cars. At that location, you may have other cars that you have to pick up in order to deliver further down the track, so it can get all very complicated. Most complicated of all is it isn't just you doing that, there's a whole room full of people doing the exact same thing. And they need to come down the same track, maybe in the same direction or in an opposite direction. And so you meet them at a passing track and they have to get around you. And incidentally, the human being running the train needs to get around you in the walkway. So it gets rather confusing. But then that's also what makes it fun. As I say, it's sort of like a big game, and what's the point in playing a game all by yourself? In this particular case, there are no winners or losers, just an ongoing game with a good deal of fun playing it. Now, another reason to have a good operating group like this is you can travel around. That way you're confronted with new situations on different railroads, and you get to meet different people and even travel to different cities and so on. So it's a good deal of fun, and a lot of people are really, really into it. Now, all of this fun and frivolity doesn't take the place of model railroading. It's just simply another way to enjoy model railroading. And model railroading is, after all, incredibly fun.
Well, that was an enormous amount of fun.
Oh my gosh, yes it was.
Oh,
I
wow.
love N scale. It's just my size.
I did it years ago and kind of gave it
Yeah.
up, but man, you can do so much in N scale. And if you really want to do big trains like that,
Right.
yeah, that's
You can
like,
have a big train on a small scale, not taking up space.
yeah. And if you have a lot of space, then that means you can really do
Really
a lot
have
of
a
railroading.
railroad.
And for operating, you need a lot of track. You need a lot of main line, a lot of sidings, a lot of set outs, a lot of yards, and so it's really ideally suited for that.
Right.
And that was fun. I think I now have some more clear idea of exactly how to operate. So much so that maybe at this point I feel comfortable about the idea of going to an operating session as an operator and saying, well, of course I could do that. I've been doing that in my sleep now for 80 years, which of course would be a blatant lie. But that's, you fake it till you make it.
That's right.
exactly how America works.
Exactly.
So could work out. Anyway, it was fun to go to the operating session and see this
See
cool
how that
railroad
works.
and meet the fun people. And that's really one of the
That's
real
fun.
fun aspects of operating is you have to work with a lot of people, and that's fun.
Yes.
Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, do pop on over to the channel, Toyman Television. And you can go to the website, toymantelevision.com. You can get to the channel by clicking on the blue subscribe button, which is appearing just now. Doink, see it right there? Subscribe. Well, we're not sure how you found this fun and goofy but very informative movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again in 1 week with some more massive screwing around. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.